purpose of this management policy is to establish a set of parameters by which debt obligations will be undertaken. Policy reinforces the commitment of the town officials to manage the financial affairs of the town. So the highlighted segments are for the public as well as internally, is to understand the transaction, explain to citizens what is being considered, avoid conflicts of interest, and disclose cost and risk. The goal of this policy is to assist decision makers in planning, issuing, and managing debt obligations by providing clear directions as to the steps, substance, and outcomes desired. The policy will be reviewed annually during the budget process. Staff recommends approval of Resolution R 2011-10, the Town of Farragut Debt Management Policy.
Do you take this from a, say, a model?
Yes, sir.
So is it basically what the state is looking for?
It's actually exactly what they're looking for. They went back and forth, and actually until about last week is when they finally came out with the final version. So, but since we don't, debt, we didn't have to adopt it by this December, but we went ahead and did that.
Okay. Anybody have any problems with it?
I'll move for approval of Resolution R-2011-10, Town of Farragut Debt Management Policy.
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next item is approval of Resolution R-2011-11, declaring certain town property to be surplus property.
So this resolution will allow for the removal of the items from our fixed asset list and give us the ability to advertise the sale of the items on the GovDeals website. The Public Works Department has 2 John Deere mowers and a set of metal bleachers that we would like to surplus. The town will be advertising the equipment on govdeals.com, which is an online governmental surplus auction site. And our dates are planning on starting tomorrow and running through next Friday at this time. So staff recommends approval of Resolution 1111, declaring certain town property be surplus property.
Any discussion of this? Any motions?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the next item is approval of refund of cash erosion control letter of credit associated with the cottages at Price Farm.
Yes, sir. This request is actually similar to one we had a few weeks back with the neighborhood on Grisby Chapel Road. What it was is we had a letter of credit that we didn't hear back from by the deadline to renew it, and so we actually did cash their letter of credit. They now have new owners who have now applied and given us a new letter of credit for that, so we'll be refunding this to the bank. So the motion is to approve the refund of the amount of $150,000 to, forgot the bank. It's not even on here. I believe it's Regions Bank. It's a very similar situation to our last letter of credit refund.
We did have a change of ownership.
I think they actually consolidated. Yeah, the partnership consolidated, and the new owner has put up the new letter of credit.
Allison, just out of curiosity, did you get your $500 too that you have in here? Did they pay that to you already?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next item is approval of change order number 2, contract 2011-12, farm at Willow Creek.
Yes, this is one of those good news, bad news things. The good news is the fact that Blaylock Construction was able to complete all of their contractual obligations to the town on November 23rd. That was 7 days prior to the completion date, and they are entitled to a $7,000 in incentive pay. The bad news is that the rain that we had leading up to the 23rd began raising the level of the pond water that had been pumped out below the level of the pipe. That water raised to the point of the bottom of the pipe, and staff noticed that water was still seeping in through the base stone around the pipe and seeping into the pipe through pipe joints that were upstream of the first seep collar. Now, it is our intent, has always been our intent, that we would not have a constant stream of water going through our system. The pipe joints we had hoped would be watertight. Unfortunately, they are not completely watertight. So there was no question that we were faced with the only option was to install another seep collar over the first joint and thereby block all flow from being able to enter the system. So staff authorized, after requesting a cost estimate from Blaylock, staff authorized them to go ahead and complete the construction of the additional seep collar. It's $28,300. That is in keeping with our own estimates of what it should cost. So we were okay with the price. That work was completed on Monday. They still have another half day to a day of dressing up. It's been so wet this week they couldn't get in there. I suspect they'll probably finish that up either tomorrow or Monday. But staff recommends approval of change order number 2 in the amount of $28,300.
What is this seep joint made of?
Concrete.
This is
Lots
a
and
poured
lots of-
concrete wall down in here.
Yes, it's constructed by, they had to dig around the pipe. They're 4 to 6 feet below the level of the pipe to dig a trench and dig out into the undisturbed soil, form up as best they could, and pour a very massive wall out there. There's a little over 30 yards of concrete in that seep collar.
That's $3,000 worth of concrete approximately, and $25,000 worth of ditch digging and forming.
Feel an assurance that this episode is over now.
I feel much better now than I did when we saw that some water was still going through the system. Do I feel like it's complete? Yes. Now, I've not been down into the pipe to confirm anything yet, but we have seen every piece of pipe go in. We do feel pretty good about this project now.
You gonna ride a skateboard through it?
What are those things that mechanics use in their cars?
Creeper.
A creeper, yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
I'll be right behind you.
Yeah.
I'll bring mine. Mine's got a headrest
We could-
on it.
We could hit it with
May
frozen
end up being
water
the water
and
feature we
ride a
need in
luge.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the change order number 2 for contract 2011-12 for Farm at Willow Creek Drainage Project.
Favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next item is discussion and approval of employee retirement benefits.
Thank you, Mayor. This, at the November 15th Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting, the board approved a one-time lump sum payment to all employees in the town of Farragut to their retirement accounts based on their years of service with the town and their current base salaries in an effort to try to, I guess, put dollars into employees' retirement accounts to make up for the past years in which the town was not in Social Security and only had the typical 401 type program. At the same time, the board asked staff to go back and examine what we could do for the longest term employees that were closest to retirement age, with the remaining dollars left that we had in our insurance fund, which we were using to allocate toward this program. There were approximately $91,593 remaining in the fund after the board approval at the last meeting. So with that, staff went back and looked at and gave 3 different options for the board's consideration tonight. Option 1 would actually give credit to employees that have at least 15 years of service with the town. And what it would do is a similar formula to what the board approved last time. It would actually give 2.4% per year of service to each employee for each year that they are here after 15 years. So for example, they've already received credit for their years of service prior to in the last approval that you did. And so now you'd be giving credit for each year after 15 years. So somebody with 20 years would get an additional 5 years of credit for their retirement at the 2.4% per year times their current salary. And those costs for that proposal, total cost of the town would be $88,491 for that. There would be 13 employees eligible for some type of funds with that option. And that's going to be a service-only option. It's only looking at service. It's not looking necessarily at age. Option 2 actually puts a caveat on this. It starts at age 55. So an employee would have to be at least age 55 and have at least 15 years of service. When you put those parameters on there, that lowers the number of employees eligible to 5. With only 5 employees, there's more dollars available to each employee. So the percentage has increased substantially from 2.4% to 5.25% per year of service for those employees that were eligible. Again, this is putting age as a factor, and it is giving credit for only those employees over 15 years of service. And the total cost of that program would be $89,298. Option 3 is somewhat of a hybrid, but it goes into weighting both age and service time based on the point system. And the points were allocated based on service getting the greater weight. So service would actually count 2 times for each point, I guess you could say, of service. Each year of service would count for 2 points, and each year of age would count for approximately 3/4 of a point. When you factor in all of those points and put a limit on it that all employees that were eligible for this program would have to have at least 80 points, then again there are 5 employees eligible for this program. There's a slight difference in that of who would be eligible, but there are 5 employees eligible under that program as well. And you give credit in this situation of $210 per point. So it's not based on salary, it is based on a per point basis. That total for that program would be $90,615. Each of those options would be within our budget, and we could go ahead and allocate with the budget amendment that certainly the board has in an upcoming motion here in just a few items. Again, with that, we are trying to obviously do as much as we can with the remaining dollars we had in the insurance fund. I give each of these options to you as examples, and certainly something we could go ahead, if the board was felt comfortable with voting on tonight, we could do. We're trying to get this implemented for employees so that they can know what would be coming their way, based on the fact that they will be voting February 21st or by February 21st to decide whether or not they want to enter Social Security or stay out of the Social Security system.